Hey everybody. So this video is going to be a twofer. Essentially what I'm going to do here is just show you how to pull an OER textbook into your Canvas course, and then also how to pull a MyOpenMath course into your Canvas course. They're both pretty quick to do. You'll see my video skip around a little bit just because I'm going to pause to switch pages and stuff like that. So if you see me hop around a little bit, that's why, just a little post editing. So the very first thing I'm going to do is show you our campus bookshelf. So you just go to math.libretexts.org. You go down to Cosumnes River College, click on that. And then in there, you'll see all of the textbooks that we have available. On my page right here, I'm logged in. And because of that, you'll see my lecture notes on here as well. I did a video for that, how to make your own lecture notes earlier. But for now, I just want to showcase how you can pull into your Canvas course a LibreText textbook. Now, I've already done this for the Math 372 when I was doing the other video. So I'll do this for my Math 400 course, but the process is the same no matter which course you're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Math 400 differential calculus course. Also, I think you have to be logged in to be able to do this. In fact, I'm almost certain you do. So make sure that you have an account with LibreTexts and that you can log in so that your name appears in the upper right hand corner. But once you do that, just go to the course you're interested in. And I'm going to pull this into Canvas. There's two ways to do this. I'll show you both ways here. The very first way is the traditional way, which is to go to the downloads, get to your book first, and go to this downloads tab. And there's a little button that says import into LMS. If I click that, it will download to my downloads folder, and then that file is available now to be pulled into Canvas. It's that quick. So I'll go over to Canvas, and here I am in my Canvas page right here, and it's pre-semester, so I don't have anything published for the upcoming semester. So I will go ahead and go to my Math 400 there. You'll see that I haven't actually touched it yet. And now I'm going to just pretend as though I'm importing that. Actually, I'm going to use this to show you a different method in a moment. But if this is how you want to import it, which is a very nice way to do it, here's how it's done. Click on Import Existing Content. And then under Content Type, select Canvas Course Export Package, because that's what you did. You exported your textbook as a Canvas Course Export Package. And then it'll ask you to choose the file. It's fairly standard here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you can see I got that in there. And then content-wise, if you import everything, it'll just start importing right now. And in fact, if you import only the specific sections you want, it'll still go through and go to this page. The difference is that you will get this little button that says select content if you specifically said, I want to select content. In my case, I'm just going to select content. You can see that after saying that I want to select content, it presents me with modules here. And if you expand that out, it only shows you the chapter modules. You can't actually expand into the sections. This is kind of a useless way of performing an import, because there are sections I don't want to include. And unfortunately, I have no way to fine tune like that. So forget about that. You might as well just import the entire thing, all content. That's absolutely fine. And when you're done, you get this. I'm in my modules area, and you can see in the modules area here, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait for the fifth one here, chapters of content. They match the chapters of the text. And then if you open up or expand one of those modules, you'll see the corresponding sections. Personally, I don't include the homework exercises here because I use MyOpenMath. So I would get rid of all of those. So there is a little bit of post work here, a little bit of extra work that you have to go through when you are doing that import. It's not a huge deal, just a minor little fix. So I just go through and remove each of these sections. Another way you can do that, by the way, is you can go into, I think it's pages, and you can delete en masse a group of pages. Now you can see that I actually went ahead and removed all the homework sections. Again, I use MyOpenMath for homework, so I don't need the textbook homework available. Also, you can see I have the 7 sections that are actually in chapter 1 available, and right now students can't see them. So to make them visible for students, you'd click on this down arrow and you would just publish all the module and all items. That's it. makes it all live. Now, personally, I don't talk about sections 1.1 through 1.6 in calculus. You just don't have time for that. So I would likely remove these. And because I end up removing sections, and I might remove, let's say, in a normal course, like 6 to 7 different sections. And because our students are coming in with varying levels of prerequisite preparation, you might want to have those sections available for those students. How do they access those sections if you remove them from this? Well, before getting into that, let's just make sure that we see what the students can see. So if a student clicks on, let's just say, inverse functions, what do they see? They see an embedded version of the textbook in Canvas, and it's the inverse functions section. At the top, there's a link to see this in a new tab, which I actually think students prefer anyway. But ideally, what I want is for students to be able to navigate through the textbook at their own pace, not at their own pace as far as how the course is flowing, but they can open the textbook and say, you know what, I want to go today and hop back to section 1.3. And rather than going to the modules area and trying to find it and whatever, I would just like there to be a link along the edge that just says textbook. That's actually more ideal. And this was something that Paige told me about last semester. I think it was Paige who just said, oh yeah, I just have the textbook off to the side. So I'll show you how to do that. Hopefully I get it right, because I've only done it once and it has been about 8 months. Now to do this, I am going to my 401 course just because I accidentally already imported all the sections into my 400 and I'm too lazy right now to delete them and redo this. So let's just start brand new. So now we know how to move the sections in, or the book in, from LibreTexts into our modules area. Well, that might not be your cup of tea. You might not like that. And I personally don't. Now that I've seen what was introduced to me by Paige last semester, I think that this, what I'm about to show you, is a much better way to go about it. And I think most people already knew this. I didn't. What I'm going to do is create a link to the textbook just along this navigation bar. To do that, you're going to have to go to your settings at the very bottom here. And then under these tabs, you're going to go to apps, because the app you're looking for is a redirect app. It's actually called the redirect tool. It should already be installed. If it's not, you could just search for it here, but you can install it very quickly. It installs into your Canvas. And once it's installed, you click on that redirect tool and then add app. And the add app just means add a link to whatever you want it to go to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my LibreTexts page here, and I'm going to go to the 401 textbook. I'll click on that, and that gets me to the main textbook page for 401, and I'll just copy that link right there. Once you've copied that, you just go back here, click again, add app, and then paste the URL. One thing you do want to make sure is that you rename it to where it doesn't say redirect tool. I had to just retake this shot because I forgot to rename it. I'm going to rename this to textbook. Also, make sure that you've opened it in a new tab so it doesn't open in their instance of Canvas here. And finally, put it in the course navigation. Once you click add app, and once you've saved it, you'll be able to see your textbook is right there. If I click on that, it does not automatically open in a new tab. It requires them to click an extra button. Not that big of a deal. It is kind of an annoyance, but there we go. Now they have the entire textbook in front of them. So now you should know how to easily import an entire textbook from LibreTexts into your Canvas course in either fashion that you like, whether you like it embedded in the Canvas course on a section by section basis, or just a link to the textbook where you have it along your navigation bar. Now, the other half of this video is for pulling your MyOpen Math course into your Canvas course. And for this part of the video, I'm actually going to focus on my 372 text, because that's really what I originally was going to do this for, is for my 372 text and also for the instructors who are teaching 372 this semester. All right, so here I am in my 372 course, and you can see that I've actually cleared out everything from my modules area. And this mainly because I don't like all the sign waiver BS that's in there. It doesn't pertain to us, so I just remove it completely. Starting fresh here, I'm going to go ahead and if you look along that menu there, I'm going to quickly, before I even start into the MyOpenMath stuff, just pull in my textbook. So I'm going to pause and come back and my textbook will be here. And there you go, I'm back and you can see I've already added the textbook. So if I click on that again, you'll see that it says open a link in a new tab. Unfortunately, I don't know how to make that happen automatically, but here we have it. There's the textbook for 372, very fast. However, this is the point where we want to pull in the MyOpenMath course. Now, first thing you need to do is make a copy of the MyOpenMath course that you're interested in for you. So you're going to make a personal copy of that course in MyOpenMath for you, and you're going to make sure that you kind of clean it up to your heart's content. So you can see I'm now at my MyOpenMath page and I have my courses organized. You can see them through here. I have them in groups, right? So I have my master courses. These are the courses that everybody copies to pull into their classes. I actually have one for 401 as well. It's just not in this list. If you're teaching Math 373, you might copy my 335. That might be the way to go about it. But first thing I'm going to do is show you how I get these grouped like this. Notice I have a spring 2024, a fall 2023, a spring 2023, and so on and so forth. The way you make those categories is to scroll down to this very hidden spot down here under Add New Course, and it's called Change Course Order. If I click on that, I can add a course group. And my course group I'm going to add here is Fall 2024. And I'll go ahead and save that as it is so that when I'm back at my main page here, you can see I don't have anything in my fall 2024 group. I do have, again, these master courses I could copy from, or if I have a previous semester I've worked on that I think is clean, I'll just copy those. Now, before I begin, I do want to make a mention here that I see that these say unavailable. That just basically means that it's outside of the time frame that I said these courses are going to be offered. In other words, when you set up a course on MyOpenMath, you have a semester you set it up for. So these might be set up for last spring or last fall or sometime in the past. That doesn't mean you can't copy them. So now I'm going to make a copy of this Math 372 master course. If, again, you're working in 373, go ahead and start with the 335 and make the changes that you need to make. If you're doing 400, copy that one. I have another one for 401, which I haven't pulled up here, so I'll do that eventually. Anyhow, let's go ahead and copy a course. And by the way, you can copy whatever course you have from the past. This just shows you how to do it in general. Scroll down to the bottom of this list and click on Add New Course. If it's a course that you have created in the past, well then, just copy from my or a colleague's course. If it's a course that one of your colleagues has created, well then, click on Copy My or a colleague's course. It's the same either way. If you're copying from your courses, it would be the first subgroup, and everybody else's would be your group's subgroup. So if you were copying from me, you'd go into my group's courses and you'd find my name here. Because I am Roy Simpson, I have to go into my courses. And you'll see in the list of my courses, I have a group called Master Courses. That's kind of the cue to you that, yep, that's the one I want to copy from. So for me, I'm going to copy this 372. When you copy it, it literally makes a copy. It doesn't affect the master course at all. So the master course is where I put in the problems where I think these are good problems or whatever it is. And then you can go through and add your own to your own personal version of the course or remove some or whatever it may be. But once you've selected that course, just go down and click on Continue. And now you're into the course options page. Here's where you're probably going to change some things like I'm going to change the name from master to just the course name. And I think that's good enough for me. You don't need an enrollment key because your students will be using Canvas. You'll be embedding this in Canvas. If you want to create an enrollment key, you can, but I have not found a reason, at least as of this time, to do that, other than possibly some student signing up for your class on MyOpenMath who's not actually in your class. That has never happened to me. If it's happened to you, then put on an enrollment key. It doesn't hurt your students at all. It's your choice. Under copy or course copy options, I do not copy the offline gradebook items. There's no reason to. That would be like exam 1, exam 2, and so on and so forth. And I don't place offline items into my Open Math courses, so they wouldn't even exist there anyway. I do recommend copying rubrics and outcomes. I don't have them set for Math 372 completely, but I definitely do have them set for Math 400. So if you're copying Math 400, and even if you don't use them, it's nice to kind of have, because at the end of the course, you can look at the SLOs for our Math 400 and see how your students did on those if you wanted to. It's great for report outs and all the prof stuff that we end up having to do. I don't copy display at top posts. I don't even think it really affects us if we do or don't copy that. And I don't bother copying the calendar items. In the next group, availability and access. This is really dependent upon when your course starts. You do want to make it available, so that first one should be checked. Course start and end dates, I leave blank because Canvas will set that for me. Canvas technically will set times after you've embedded your assignments into Canvas. However, if you want to have a default time for these assignments, then you might want to set the start and end dates here. That is, when I pull these into Canvas eventually, I would like the default due dates for my assignments to be 11:59 p.m. That's a habit for me. So I'm going to say the course ends at 11:59 p.m., even though I know my class doesn't end at that time. And I might set the start time of the course to actually be the start time of my course. This course is a 7:20 a.m. course, time that everybody likes. And then finally, allow students to self-enroll using the course ID and key. You can uncheck that because that keeps people from enrolling falsely in your course through My Open Math. Doesn't actually ever happen, but just letting you know. And it doesn't hurt your students if you're enrolling them through Canvas. Finally, allow other instructors to copy the course. If you want instructors to copy your course, you can. This is my private course that I'm doing just for my students for the semester, so I'm going to click on no. The master courses I actually have for yes, so that you guys can copy them. In the third group, definitely check allow the LMS to set the assignment due dates. This just allows Canvas to set the due dates. And the final group, completely optional. This is all about late passes and all that fun stuff. I allow my students to turn in up to 5 assignments late. Now I say up to 5 assignments. Essentially in My Open Math, you have things called late passes, which extends the original due date of an assignment by so many hours. You can see here, I allow 5 late passes, and when a student uses one of those late passes within My Open Math through the Canvas shell, it automatically extends the due date of whatever assignment they're requesting by 1 week. That's 168 hours. Little thing you need to know about this, if that assignment was due 10 days ago, which is over a week ago, they will have to spend 2 late passes to extend that original due date by 2 weeks if you do this scheme. So that's just a heads up. I only allow 5, and I only allow them to extend the original due date by 1 week. You don't have to have this send email to me when students enroll. I uncheck it. It's not that big of a deal. Otherwise, everything else is pretty default. You can keep it just like that. Your students won't see that anyway. Click submit, and you're done. It does have this little bit here at the end saying, here's a course ID and a secret key and all that other stuff. You don't actually need that. If you're a Los Rios Community College instructor, there's already a link made between My Open Math and Canvas. You don't need this information. So let's go ahead and hop into the course. And you can see all of my master courses are set up in chapter section format. So chapter 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, that aligns with the textbook. And then the sections that align with the textbook. You can see in this specific text, there's not a section 1, 2, or 3. That's because that's not actually part of the curriculum for this course. So if you notice there are sections missing, that just means that it's not part of the curriculum. If you want to, in your own personal version of your course, create homework for those, go ahead, do it to it. It's just not pre-built for you. If you hop into these sections, you'll see I have little notes on some of these. Not every course has these. You can see the assignment. If you just want to preview the assignment, you're more than welcome to. Click on it right here. You can preview, as a teacher, the entire assignment. If you want extra remediation problems, you're more than welcome to add problems to your homework assignments. Now, I'm certain that I'm likely skipping a ton of stuff here because all I'm talking about is how to get your course into Canvas from MyOpenMath. But before I go there, one final bit of warning. You want to make sure that whatever you're pulling into Canvas, whatever assignment you're pulling in, that assignment is solid, that you're happy with it. Because once you pull it in, let's just say there's 10 questions on that assignment and they're worth 1 point each. When you pull that into Canvas, Canvas will then say, great, I see that assignment's out of 10 points, so I'll make it worth 10 points. If at some later date you decide, I didn't like that question 7, so let me go ahead and delete that from the MyOpenMath assignment. Well, then when your students in Canvas open up that assignment, that question 7 will not be there because it links directly to MyOpenMath. So that question 7 that you deleted will not be there. However, now they only have 9 questions, so technically their assignment should be out of 9 points, but Canvas doesn't know that. It's still going to grade it out of 10. So you need to manually change the point value in Canvas to 9. It's not a hard thing to fix. You just manually adjust the points. But to avoid all that, you could just make sure that you like the assignment. I'm telling you right now, everything in the master courses have been vetted for years. Well, obviously, other than 372, but this has been vetted for 370 for years. These assignments have been given for quite some time. The homework exercises should not have any coding errors or anything like that. So anyhow, once you're satisfied with the layout of your course or the homework questions in your assignments, you can then export that. And you don't have to export all the assignments at once. Let's say that you're just happy with chapters 1 and 2. Then go ahead and download just those 2. Export. I clicked on export. And if you're only going to export a few chapters at a time, you just select individual items to export. I'm going to export the entire course. On this first import, I'm going to include the app config file and then include the MyOpenMath gradebook setup and categories. The very first time you're importing, you could import all the gradebook category names that I've already set. They're basically homework or quiz. If you do that, it auto creates those categories for you. If you're happy with that, leave it checked. I'm going to leave it checked. You may or may not want to include the MyOpenMath due dates. I go back and forth on this. If you include the due dates, then it's going to set the due dates for in the past because these were from a past semester. So you might want to not include those due dates and set them within Canvas. I would not open MyOpenMath assignments in a new window. Just don't bother doing that. And I do highly recommend allowing Canvas to set up your MyOpenMath due dates. That's what you do. That's what I do, at least, to set this up. Now, again, I'm exporting the entire course. If you want to export specific content, you would choose select individual items to export, but there's no real reason for me to do that. And just like before, when you click on download, you'll see a little file off to the right-hand side of the screen there. And that's a Canvas export file. And so now that that's done, I will just go over to my Canvas here. I'll click on home, although I think I could add it here, but I'm just going to go through the home page here. For this course, make sure you're in the right course, because once you import, it will create a link between that course in Canvas and your course in MyOpenMath. If you import into the wrong course, it will permanently marry those two things together. So make sure, double check, I'm importing Math 372 into Math 372. All right, import existing content. That's what I want. Content type, course export package. And now I'm going to choose the file I just downloaded, which happens to be over on the other page. And I'm just going to do all content. You could technically select from here the sections you want to include or not include. I'm just going to do everything so that I can remove them as I need. Now, when you click that import, it'll take a while because it is pulling in a lot of content. And when you pull in a lot of content, you can't just, like when it's done, turn your back, leave the room, and you're done. You actually have to finalize the link between Canvas and MyOpenMath. It's a very simple process, one-click process, literally. So let's just see how that's done. All right, so you can see that it's finished this import. It took about 2 minutes. Now I click home. And I just do that because I feel as though that refreshes the page. Now I'm going to click on modules. And here you go. You're in modules area, and notice it has actually imported the chapters. It's basically imported the entire structure from MyOpenMath to Canvas. I just want to show you how to make the link between your Canvas page and MyOpenMath with one final step here. I'll open up any assignment, doesn't matter. So I'll open up this very first assignment. When I click on it, it'll then ask me to make the link. Now, you have to be very, very, very careful here. This is a change that happened in the last year, and I really dislike that they did this. So be very careful on this page. Your LMS course is not yet linked with a course on MyOpenMath. You have imported a course from MyOpenMath, but they're now not talking to each other yet. You can either have MyOpenMath create a new course copy for you, or you can link to this LMS course with an existing MyOpenMath course. And the default is to create a copy. Now, if you did this, what terrible thing would happen, it's not terrible, it's just what would happen, is that it would create an extra copy of the course that we just made. So here's the course we just made. In fact, let me move that. Here's how you move it. I kind of have to do it. I have too many courses. Drag it all the way up to fall. There we go. So now that course is in my fall group. Not that that matters to anybody, but there you go. And I can see my course there. Now, if on the Canvas page right now, if I said create a copy, which is what it defaults to, which is terrible, what it's going to do is create yet another Math 372 course. I don't want that. I want to use an existing course, and it'll default at that point to use the course you're originally importing from, which is what I want. And students will automatically be enrolled in that course. Click on continue, and ta-da, you're done. Everything is taken care of. You are completely linked. And the student's homework version would look like this. One question at a time, and very nice, right? Clean. This is only a 4-question homework because these are robust questions. And there you go. That's how you pull in your MyOpenMath course into your Canvas course and how you link them. And also at the beginning of the video, how you pull in your LibreText textbook into Canvas. That doesn't need to be linked. All right. If you found this video helpful, click the bell icon. No, there's nothing like that you need to do. All right. So everybody have a wonderful final week or week and a half or whatever it is at this point. And I will see you guys on Convocation Day, or maybe a day before if I go to the adjunct meeting. Have a good one. If you have questions, I keep staring at this light. If you have questions, I will be in my link that I sent out. I'll be there on Friday, August 16th. You're more than welcome to join me if you do have other questions. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.